Oh, great. Whoever you are, welcome to Misfit Table's The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Previously on this episode, about 2 minutes ago, we got disconnected. But we are now back, hopefully for good. The internet is a fun and fickle place, a little bit like the Feywild, I suppose. So, let's do a... You know what? I was going to ask everybody to kind of introduce their characters, so let's do that real quick. And let's start with Thorne.
All right. Well, I am Thorne. In real life, I'm Ashton MacSailor. I run the Story Tables and Sunsailor production companies with my wife, Callie. And Thorne is... He is a gentle giant. He is Goliath. He was 12 years old in our last episode, up until we did the time skip. And we jumped ahead. He's now 20 and hanging in there. We had some trauma last time.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about that. What do you see as the difference between Thorne as a child and Thorne now an adult?
That's an interesting question. I think well, Sam came back, so that's really helped, but Sam coming back just like out of the gate doesn't fix, 10 years or 8 years of trauma. So he's been living with this for 8 years. The loss of effectively his brother, effectively one of his two mothers. And it's been hard. I think a lot of the childlike joy that we saw in Thorne in the first episode and a half, for those of you who were here for it or who are going to go see it, a lot of I think he still has that potential, but that's not how he mostly manifests now. He's a much darker person than he used to be, much more, to be honest, scared, just worried that people are going to disappear, that he's going to lose his loved ones. And seeing Sam again, though, has brought a little bit of that joy back. I think I made the note in the last episode that when he gave Sam a big hug, that was the first time he had smiled like that since Sam disappeared. So we'll see what's coming up, but my hope is that we'll start seeing a little bit of that childlike joy come back into Thorne, because it's been gone for a while.
Yeah, well, we caught a glimpse of Thorne as a child and a glimpse of him as an adult before Sam's return. But I feel like we haven't really fully seen him as an adult, especially since there's been a change-up. I want to get to Sam, but I'm not going to get to you just yet. I want to go with you last, because you change, I think, what the answer to some of these questions are. Let's go for Tana, child versus adult.
Sure. So I'm Callie MacSailor. Tana is my character. She is a gnome barbarian, orphan, adopted into a family with Thorne and Sam. Of course, Sam did disappear.
Uh-oh.
Family, and when she got older, she definitely was. And kind of a lot of duties fell to her because of her mom, checking out when her other mom disappeared or died or whatever. And yeah, now she's got some suppressed rage issues over that. And she's got a lot of questions and a wall filled with conspiracy theory threads and like this, just like Witchlight Carnival circled a bunch of times, suspects. Like, she wants to get to the bottom of this. She's driven. She's a little obsessed, and she still has like some of that energy that she has, like that gnome energy and like go to it kind of attitude, go for it kind of attitude. But yeah, now it's tempered with a little bit of literal temper. She squashes things down until she can't handle them anymore.
Question. I'm assuming that Sam is somewhere on your board, your conspiracy board. Where do you imagine he is, and what sort of notes might you have for Sam?
After he revealed himself to us in the tavern?
I'm going to say before you realize, because you haven't gone back to change your board yet. So what was the previous theory with Sam?
The previous theory with Sam for me, I overheard him talking to, our mom about a necklace or something that got lost. So I figured he snuck out to go get it. And that's what happened to him. Something happened to him at the carnival or on the road to the carnival. And then he just disappeared after trying to find whatever it was he lost.
Okay, so you probably have like a necklace, stone, something written up on this with Sam's name, like, and then a thread going to the carnival or the whatnot. Okay,
yeah.
Let's go to Sylvira. Sylvira didn't start out as a foundling, didn't start off as an orphan, but became one by the time she was an adult. What do you think about that difference there?
Hi, my name is Brandon, and I play Sylvira Eventide, the Twilight Cleric of Soluna. Sorry, still remembering how to pronounce my own deity's name. At first, like, when she was a kid, she still had that wanderlust. She's always been kind of like split down the middle. Like, her mom was very lively and very fierce, and her father was always more reserved. So that was something that she was trying to struggle with, or she was struggling with as a kid, was kind of, like Callie said, to temper it, to find some kind of balance. And that night after the carnival, she assumed her father was dead. Again, just like her mother. So she kind of let any idea of rescuing her mother kind of go. And made peace with that fact that night, and also forgetting her face. I can't remember if I forget her name as well.
You do. You can't remember face or name.
Yep. So I know I had a mom, but I don't remember her. But I know that she's there somewhere. But then losing my father, it kind of hit Sylvira really hard and made her sit down and really evaluate things like, well, I have to take over the duties that my father was doing, and I don't really have anywhere else to go. So Morgana and Mavra took me in and helped me.
Just Morgana, though.
Or just Morgana, that's right. That's right. Mavra's gone. So she kind of tempered herself way back. So even though she was shy and reserved as a kid, it's probably more so as an adult, and in somewhat like an almost cold or detached way. Not mean, just completely removed. But she still has that like secret like want to find them. So she keeps a diary that she writes to both of her parents. And she tries to draw their faces every now and again, or like things that they've said in the past, little memories.
Blank pages for your mom.
She's trying, like just sketching people's faces, and like maybe this is what my mom looked like. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, she wants, now that she knows her dad's alive, it's kind of like that slightly removed filter that she's put up on everything is kind of starting to come down.
And not to mention you have a second chance at candy floss.
No, that's step one. No, sorry. Step one is getting my purple wings. Step two, I am beelining to the candy floss booth. And I actually had this all planned out role play wise, that as soon as we got through the gate, I was going to turn to each of you and say, "Excuse me, I have something to take care of."
Well, let's
march straight over
get
to the
that. Let's see if that plan in your head can be, seen through in the game. But before we get there, make it happen. Now you're right. Guided bolt or not. Let's go to Sam real quick. Sam has sort of had almost in a way 3 lives. Almost 4 actually. Life on the street, life in Glen Hollow with his parents, And then this other life that happened when he vanished, and now a fourth one, which is he's just beginning as he arrives back with his friends. What are your thoughts?
Hi, everybody. My name is Chad Yarish. I am playing Samarand Ludd. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. A lot thrown at me very quickly, dealing with that. I feel like he was or is an adventurous spirit that, like the siren song of the carnival called to him. He was going to get there one way or another. And I think he just got kind of sucked up into it. And when he had the chance to go, he just went. What happened in there during that time still remains to be seen. And I think when he finally got the chance to come back and see his adopted siblings, like that was I mean, it had been 8 years since he'd seen them, and he'd seen all these amazing things and gone through who knows what, and then got to come back and like tell them stories and share that with them and bring them inside and give them, you know, the backstage pass kind of thing. But then they got there and the carnival was late and he was out of time and he lost something again. And so now whatever that is, I mean, that's what we're going into right now.
It is. So I'll give a quick sum up too. You guys kind of got it in bits and pieces. As I recall, so Sam, Thorne, Tana, and Sylvira, while at the carnival, they encountered some strange beings. A shadow, a girl with a pig mask, and a quick frog-like creature. You have vague memories of these things now. They're like, all of you wonder, did I even see those things? And in fact, Thorne in the last game had even asked, was it real? Was the frog real? You don't really know. But these encounters, after these encounters, you were all sort of knocked unconscious at different points, and you came to with your parents there to rescue you from the carnival. Because it turns out these tickets that you were given were no good. And your parents took you home. They put you to bed. They told you, stay here. And in the case of Sam, Mavra said that she would go and return to the carnival and look for the thing that you'd lost, the stone that was missing. But when they went back to the carnival that night, by morning, they had not returned. And the carnival then was gone, and they became missing people and assumed dead. The rumors were that they were, and this is a rumor that wasn't really talked about in the game, but this is something that you guys will sort of learn later on, that the reports of what happened to them were sort of greatly exaggerated, especially to you kids. And I think Tana's board of conspiracies might have been fueled by that, because things didn't add up. Like, you never saw bodies, there are graves, and it just felt like a cover-up. The only thing that was the big question was what happened to Sam. Nobody seemed to be able to have any sort of an answer for that. So then we swapped. We went forward 8 years, and now we have the foundlings again with a new one, Sylvira added to them. And you're all here trying to unravel the events of that night. And as you do, Tana sort of, gathers everyone together in the local inn with this plan to go back to the carnival and sort out these mysteries. Find out what really happened. Hopefully find these things that have gone missing in your lives. And just as you're coming to this agreement to do so, Sam arrives back from, apparently, the carnival itself, and that he has been there for the last 8 years, working as a Witchlight hand. Armed with his knowledge, he pushes everybody to quickly head to the carnival grounds to be there when it opens. But just as was said, it arrives late. And in Sam's memory, it never arrives late. Something went wrong here. And because it was late, Sam has lost his position in the carnival. Witchlight hands are not allowed to leave the carnival for longer than a set period of time, and that period of time elapsed. The rules are pretty harsh. If you're gone longer than an hour, you're no longer a Witchlight hand. And that is what happened to Sam. This is where we sort of find the group right now. They are at the gates to the carnival itself, looking at the ticket booth, planning their second arrival. But I want to go back a little bit, back just about 8 years, and talk a little bit about a scene that happened kind of behind the scenes at that time. We come in upon two pale elves, one stocky, dressed in a fine gray suit and a top hat, the other thin and dressed like a court jester. They both lounge within the confines of a dimly lit wagon. The stocky elf kind of grumbles, "The silly little screeching cricket. Every visitor must have a ticket. He broke the rules, and the price must be paid." The other elf titters. He's amused at the situation. "Nothing's free and nothing's lost. Every visit has its cost. Yet a loophole he has found. His fate to us now bound." The first elf frowns. He was perhaps clever, though likely foolish, to return and submit himself to the ranks of the Witchlight hands. Were we not already on the roads between? When I discovered it, I would have thrown him out. But his world is already in the past, and it will be 8 more years until we return. The jester twirls a wand in his hand. The carnival goes round and round. The multiverse is now his playground. If he plays along and plays his part, time will return him to the start. And the stocky elf has drawn out a pocket watch during this. He clicks it open. Yes, indeed. Time will. And now we return to the carnival as this group of now adult versions of these children that we first met come to the ticket booth. Sam already has a ticket, and his ticket is special. It's a ticket that's given to Witchlight hands, and it's a thing that is not taken from them when they leave the carnival. Once you're a Witchlight hand, you'll always have this golden ticket that basically gains you entry to the carnival should you find it again. And here you are arriving with a few others to buy tickets. When you arrive at the booth, you find that there's this elderly goblin that you remember vaguely from years past. He's got like a horn in one ear and a spyglass in his other hand. And he's looking at everybody as they come in. You remember he was sort of fooling around with the other kids and like kind of pretending that they were, either adults or, too old to get the children's ticket, and were just confused by people. And it seems like it's just sort of the gag that he likes to kind of mess with people a little bit. And as your group arrives at the ticket booth, he, of course, trains his spyglass on the group of you, looking, up at Thorne and then way down at Tana and then up at Sylvira, and then finally stopping on Sam. And at that point, he pulls the spyglass away, kind of drops the ear horn a little bit, and looks for a moment, almost like the facade drops for a second. And he says, Sam, you're late.
What happened? I was here. Excuse me. What happened? I was here on time. Why was the carnival late? The carnival's never late.
I don't know, my boy. It's a shame. Real shame. Liked you a lot. Not going to be the same without you.
I'm sorry, is he fired?
Let go. More better of a term. Yes, I suppose. Well, yeah,
But
fired.
why?
Let go.
Breach
Strict
it.
rules. Can't leave the carnival for an extended period of time.
But I was here. I was waiting. I was ready.
We were late. Don't know why. Never happened
it
as long
sounds
as I
like-
can recall.
Well, it sounds like that shouldn't fall on him to take the brunt of the carnival's mistake.
It maybe shouldn't, but the rules are the rules.
Yeah, where's the big man? Let me talk to the boss.
You're not a hand anymore. It's even difficult for the hands to get a private meeting, especially when the carnival's, up and running. You're gonna have to do it the hard way, Sam. You're gonna have
What's
to
the
earn your
hard
meeting.
way? Say?
Already forgetting things, are you? Such a shame. So sad to see this look of loss on folks' faces when they come back. You're gonna have to earn it. Make them happy. Make it so they have to see you.
Well, I mean, I'm good at that.
Yeah, you were. Spread a little bit of joy, a little bit of cheer. That's why we kept you so long. Took you a little while to figure it all out, though. Always asking questions, you were.
Yeah, there's so much to know.
You're gonna have to learn a lot of it again.
Well, no time like the present.
And your friends here look like pulls the horn back out and the spyglass. Looks up at Thorne, then kind of looks at the spyglass, shakes it, spins it around, and looks up again. There you are. Now you look regular sized.
Good. One ticket, please.
All right, you're all adults, right? Even you, little one. Looking down at Tana.
Yes, thank you very much. I am of age. I am an adult now.
That's too bad. Would have been cheaper if you were a kid.
I meant,
Hey.
dang it.
8 silver.
All right. I hand him the silver.
All right. If you want more than one ticket, it's going to be more than 8 silver. You know, if you really want to enjoy the place, sometimes it takes more than one.
I mean, can we get a discount?
No.
Well, he's a hand. He's been here before. Aren't you buddies?
Yeah, he gets a discount. He gets in free.
Fine. All right, fine.
You want to join the carnival? You could have a discount too. You got any skills?
I'm very good at pickling things and canning things.
The pickled beets are the best.
And I'm not bad with a sword. I've been practicing. I'm not amazing, but I'm all right.
All right, whatever. If you want to join the carnival, I guess they call it a pickle night or something.
Actually, that's not bad.
It's kind of bad. Yeah, it's kind of bad.
All right, it's pretty bad actually.
Pickle night.
Yeah.
Hey, you.
I mean, they used to call
I'm
me.
paying for you. You be nice.
They used to call me something. God, it's all going.
It's all right, Sam. We'll get it figured out. We'll talk to that big man or whatever he wants to call himself.
You're talking about Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. There's 2 of them. One big man, one skinny man. Actually,
Mr. Witch-
neither of them men at all, to tell you the truth.
Oh, okay.
Are they women?
You never know with Mr. Light. The only way you can tell is the Mr. part. But they're elves. To be more specific, sometimes you can't tell with elves, too. Goblins, very clear.
Thorne says, but he clearly does not follow.
They don't have their own individual odor.
The goblin kind of moves over a little bit and lets one rip.
See what I mean?
And then there's suddenly a pixie comes flying out from the desk that he's sitting at, and it's like, "Oh, I told you to cut that out." And it looks up and
Cut it
sees.
out. You know what I'm saying?
So I did, I cut it. And that pixie notices Sam there, kind of looks a little sad for a moment, then kind of nods and flies over kind of at a distance away from the aroma rising from the ticket master.
All right. I'm paying for these 3. The Asimar girl, Thorne here, my buddy. Sam, I guess you get in for free, and then myself.
All right. 3 tickets. There you go. Now head over to the hands over there. They'll give you wings.
All right, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tana. That's very kind of you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Pickle Knight.
I'm holding my wings in my hand. As we walk in, are they still like limp and colorless and lifeless?
Yeah, they're still a little sad. But they're still better made than like the wings that are handed out. They're just not as vibrant. Like yours, like I said, they're made of like silks and other things. So there's that.
Okay.
Does that mean you want to get fresh wings?
No, hold on to these for now.
Sam,
I'm definitely going to go get a fresh set of wings.
All right.
I'm going to throw on some purple wings. I'm going to tidy them up. And I'm going to march straight to the candy floss booth. And I will turn to all of you. And like I said earlier, excuse me a moment. There's a piece of business that I have to attend to. And march with my ticket in a grip that's like it owes me money. I'm going to walk over and candy floss, please.
You arrive at the candy floss booth, and you find that there's like 10 kids ahead of you, all of them wanting candy floss. You're like you're the only adult in this line, and you're standing in the back like it's someone's funeral. Kids are all
like
looking up at you like
dour,
yeah,
long hair.
But it doesn't take you long to get through the line and get some candy floss. So the rest of you waiting around for this?
No.
Yes.
Well, I mean, while they're doing that, I'm gonna look at the hand that's handing out the wings, and I'm gonna look at him. I'm gonna be like, "Tell me what you know about Mr. Light and Mr. Witch right now."
He looks down at you. Wow, they're the owners of the carnival. That's what I know.
All right. Are
One's
they
big.
the ones that make that arbitrary rule about if you're gone too long, you forget everything?
I think they don't. I think them's rules existed before they took over the carnival.
Interesting. And who makes those rules?
Oh, I don't remember. I wasn't here back then. It was some lady owned it before them.
Interesting. How did you get to be a part of the carnival?
Well, I signed up one day. Had a great time. Saw people having so much fun. Asked them, how do you become a Witchlight hand? They said, well, you go to Burley and you beg, and either Burley lets you in or you don't.
Where do we find Burley?
Well, over the staff area, you can kind of go and call them out if you wish. Or you could ask a hand to kind of, get them. But you can ask any other hand, too. You don't necessarily need to see Burley.
All right.
Y'all thinking about coming hands?
We're looking to get a meeting with the carnivals, the people who run the carnival. Like I said, the misters.
Ah, okay. Well, becoming a hand doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get that meeting. I mean, you might if you got a really good talent, but they'll probably just get you picking up garbage, for maybe a year or something. And Sam, you have this vague recollection of marching through the carnival, cleaning up messes for quite a while.
Still good, though.
All right. Well, you've been very helpful. Thank you. And I take my wings.
Yeah, all right.
While Tana's doing that and Sylvira is getting candy floss, I turn to Sam. Sam, before you lose any more, do you remember what happened to Mavra?
No.
Sylvira's paw?
No. I know they're alive.
Well, that's something.
Why?
Where they are, it's gone.
Why did you come back, Sam?
Well, once upon a time, Morgana had given me a stone. Little stone with a hole in it, little quartz running through it. And she said, whenever you're afraid or sad or sometimes hungry, just hold this stone and think of me and you'll be all right. And that night, 8 years ago, when we got home, the stone was missing. And I know I had it when we went into the carnival. And the thought of going on without it scared me. So I want to go find it.
Morgana, she's not herself, Sam.
What happened to her?
She disappeared. And Mavra.
Yeah.
Well, then I think we have to go find Mavra and bring her back so that Morgana will be okay again.
Yeah.
That's how you fix things, right?
Let's do that.
Well, we definitely need to do that. We need to get more information. This whole thing, the whole thing stinks. And also, I knew it. I called it about that stone you're talking about. I had it down. I thought that might be it. And I was right. I was absolutely right. And everybody said I was crazy. I was focusing too much, hyper-focusing, and I was right. I'm sorry. Yes, well, yeah.
Good.
You know, Tana, you had about 6 other guesses also.
Yeah, but that was my leading one.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
one was circled 3 times, and the other ones were only circled like once or twice.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I'll show you the board when we get home.
I'm just saying you kind of had your bases covered. Don't mind me.
All right, just around this time is when Sylvira returns candy
With
floss.
4 candy flosses.
4 candy flosses. That's going to be 4 punches of your ticket. You're going to need to go get
Oh,
one
I know,
more.
baby. One for each of us.
So this moment of seriousness is broken by the arrival of Candy Floss.
Candy floss? What?
All right.
I take a whole one.
You all look so serious.
It's fine. You know, just childhood trauma and the whole bit. But candy floss, right?
I put the
Yes.
entire thing in my mouth at once.
Little paper cone and all, just like.
Yeah, paper cone and all. Just
You know what? No, it's fine.
So as you guys are enjoying your candy floss, you look over and you see a procession kind of striding by you. Something right out of a fairy tale book. It looks, you're not sure if it's a person that's dressed up with magic, but it looks like a satyr who's dancing by with pipes and blowing in them. And following him is a procession of dancing rodents. And they just kind of pass right by your group and then head off south into the carnival. A bunch of kids kind of following behind them. He's created a little bit of a parade.
Seems very familiar. I swear I recognize one of those rats.
One of the rats looks like it's waving at Sam as it goes by.
I guess you're on a first name basis with them or something. I don't know.
And that's the other thing I need to find is my memories. Why'd they take my memories?
Is it only your memories of the carnival or other things going too?
No, mostly just, that night 8 years ago. And then, I mean, there's, like when you wake up from a dream and you dreamt and you can see like flashes of it, but you don't really recall the whole thing. It's kind of like that.
I actually don't know how that feels. I haven't had a dream since you were gone and the last time you were at the carnival. So yeah, I know. I used to keep that dream journal in the whole bit and now I don't dream at all.
Well, that's weird.
I know. It's
Is
pretty
that what you lost at the carnival too?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know why something would want my dreams.
Like,
Mostly just dreams from being a kid and when I was with my gnome family before they all died.
so did you guys lose something too?
All of us. I show you the scars on my hands. There's just burn scars all over my knuckles and arms.
He doesn't feel things like he used to.
Hot and cold mostly. I just don't notice, even if it's burning me.
What about you, Sylvira?
I've forgotten who my mother is. What her name is. What she looks like. What she sounds like.
Every time we try to remind her, it just falls right out.
None of it sounds familiar. And with my father gone, I have no anchor. Nothing tying me to her anymore except this distant concept of a mother.
Thorne is tearing up a bit, and you hear a loud poof of a handkerchief. And then he's like, it's just so sad.
Thank you, Thorne.
He gives you a big hug.
Thorne's looking real sad, and at that time, some of the Witchlight hands seem to have noticed this, and a group of gnomish clowns start kind of heading your way, like dancing and reveling, and they're like, "Oh no tears at the carnival!" And they're just sort of like dancing around Thorne and kind of pulling him. Come on, come with us. We'll bring you some joy.
See, Sylvira, no tears here.
Yes, come. Some of them are heading over to Sylvira as well.
Yeah, let's follow these guys.
Yeah.
That's a start.
Okay.
All right, let's follow the gnomes.
Show me, gnomes.
The gnomes just take you into the carnival. They start kind of winding their way amongst different attractions around the place. The first one you see is the Calliope. And Sam, as you're kind of heading by it, you remember the Calliope, and you remember this monkey that turns the handle on the Calliope and plays music from the pipe organ in the back. You remember his name is Ernest. And as you're coming up on him, you see him kind of turn, look your way, and kind of give a little bit of a bow. And he taps his vest, which has got a whole bunch of buttons. And he looks at you, and he kind of points at you.
So, Ernest, right?
Ah, that's me, Ernest. Ernest the monkey. You remember me, Sam?
I'm not sure if I remember you from my time here or when we first met. I remember you collect buttons.
You look down, and there's a little ladybug goblin that is collecting coins, and you remember wearing that ladybug costume for a while at one point.
I remember being much smaller.
Or, yeah, you do. You were a lot smaller back then. And the ladybug costume was still kind of tight, and you looked very ridiculous in it. But people thought you were cute.
Well, I am.
You also remember hating that job when you first got it, because you were replacing a goblin, and the suit didn't fit right. But Ernest was very, very nice to you.
It was very, very tight in the... Anyway.
Probably smelled pretty bad, too.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like year-old goblin BO. Ernest, I seem to be forgetting things.
Yeah, that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Do you know why the carnival was late?
I don't. It's very, very unusual. Must have come from those at the top. They're the only ones that set the schedule.
Seems like they...
So, how are none of you late? Do you all travel with the carnival at the same time?
Aye, carnival stays together. Never drifts apart. Come together, we leave together.
But some
Bit of
people are
magic
able
there.
to. But some people are able to leave for a short period of time.
Oh, yes, anyone can leave whenever they wish. No one here is a slave.
And how do you travel?
Through the stars, through the ether, sometimes through trees, sometimes just on a river, sometimes in the clouds. Different places require different sorts of modes of transportation. There's one world, there's an entire place underwater. A little bit difficult there. Everything gets soggy, the pipes sound terrible. But they love it anyway.
I can imagine this instrument wouldn't sound too great underwater.
No, it doesn't. At least not to my ears.
And
It did attract a lot of whales that day, though.
Mm.
I'm going to reach it under my cloak and open a pouch and pull out a silver button. I'm going to hand it to Ernest.
Yes. Yes, buttons. You remember? And he points down at the sign that lists his little rhyme for buttons. He takes it and he throws it in a tin. And he looks over at Sam again. Sam, you never gave Ernest a button.
I never had buttons. I mean, I guess I have buttons now. Might as well. Just a simple wooden button off the top of my shirt. Button.
He reaches over with his free hand, takes it from you and nods with a smile, which is his monkey smile, which looks like, sort of serial killer murder smile in monkeys, because it's just... And he plucks it in this little can. He says, I'll sew it here next time I get the chance.
At that
It's good
point,
to see you again, Sam.
I say, oh, I remember this. I prepared. Hold on. And I start rooting through my pouches and I pull out an ancient, like weathered silver button, like so tarnished you can hardly even see the silver, and say, I found this under a bridge and I thought of you and I've been saving it ever since. Here you go.
Very fine button that is. And he hand it to him. He puts it in his little tin.
Ernest,
2 buttons from you. Mm-hmm. Yes,
you seem like a nice monkey.
Well, yes. I am a nice monkey and was a nice man.
Yes, I remember that. Something about losing your body and some monkey taking your body. That stuck with me, trust me. Not everything I remember, but that one I remember. But you seem like a nice guy. A friend with Sam. Who do I talk to about missing things? Missing things that were lost at the carnival.
You'd want to talk to Durlagren over at Lost Property. It's right over there. Kind of points, and you look back over your shoulder, and right past a couple of tents, you see a wagon that has a Lost Property sign.
What if it wasn't technically property, but more of like a concept?
Like what sort of concept? Like you've lost some time?
Time.
Lost
I
your
don't know,
senses?
just hypothetically dreams.
Lost your marbles?
I feel like I lost my marbles a little.
Behind her,
that's
I'm
common
just
here.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of the board in her room.
Oh, yeah.
and all the yarn that's used.
I've been accused of that.
Yeah, looking for lost things that aren't things, you say?
Yes.
Might not find them at Lost Property. It's not the sort of thing that just ends up there.
Where then?
Things, sometimes the carnival just get lost. Roll an insight check, all of you.
Yes.
11.
Roll of the night.
5.
Didn't even land in the...
Which is too bad because she's like very suspicious.
Maybe you just believe that he's lying no matter what.
Yeah. Too suspicious.
15.
15. Sylvira, you get the sense that he wants to tell you more, but can't.
I also rolled a 17.
Same thing for you, Sam. And you remember, in addition to that, like this sparks a memory for you. And you remember somebody telling you that, some things that happen at the carnival stay at the carnival. Those are the Witchlight hands will hear and see things that the others do not. We are not allowed to speak of them.
Right. Well,
Dolgren, you said his name was?
Oh, Durlagren. No, she. Wonderful she. You can almost quite see her. Large cat-like creature, tentacles on the shoulder. I've heard she's called a displacer beast.
That sounds frightening.
If I've heard that they are terribly frightening in the real world. This world is not quite so real.
Would she possibly be able to lead us in a direction where we could find more of the information that we seek that you do not seem able to share with us?
Perhaps. You couldn't hurt to ask.
Would you be able to tell us where to go?
My suggestion would be perhaps start at Lost Property.
Fair.
All right.
Is there anything we need to know ahead of time before addressing her? Anything she doesn't like? Anything we should avoid saying or doing?
Not that I can think of. She's got... there's a little ball that sometimes she has with her. It's silver and mirrored. Don't touch it.
Good to know.
It's very possessive of it.
Good to know.
I'm not sure if it's a whole cat thing or something else.
Or maybe she just likes the nightlife. She likes to boogie. She likes to...
Yeah, I'm picturing a displacer beast playing with a disco ball now. It's like,
Let's go place a beast, right?
Disco Beast. Maybe I've got her pegged all wrong. Maybe I've heard the wrong things entirely.
and I'm sorry, what was her name again?
Durla Ground. You could just call her Durla.
All right. Well, you've been very helpful. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Good to see you again.
You too, Sam. Come back if you have more questions. You never know. You might ask the right thing that I can perhaps help you with.
I'll think on it. Right then. Lost and found, shall we?
All right.
Yes. Lost and found. You head to the Lost and Found past a couple of stilt walkers that are tossing candy to children. Some of it lands very close to you. Anybody?
Yes.
Got a sweet. Sylvira goes after the candy.
Yes. Like push a child out of the way.
Lay off me, I'm starving.
I've been waiting 8 years for this night.
Gonna have fun no matter what.
Yeah. Little bit of Saloon's rage creeps in.
All right, so you end up arriving at the Lost Property wagon. Sylvira's got some hard candy in her mouth as you arrive there. And you find this this large cat, like just like was described, a very large black cat, like the size of a horse, long tentacles coming from its shoulder and wings that have been sort of strapped to them. So the tentacles act a little bit like butterfly wing, like the structure of them to hold these wings up. She's got all sorts of like jewelry, bangles and stuff kind of dangling from her. And around her neck, you can see that she's got what appears to be a keg, sort of like those German Shepherd dogs that have like the
Saint Bernard.
the keg. Yeah, Saint Bernard. Like a Saint Bernard with the keg to rescue people. And she's just lounging about to the side of the Lost Property wagon. As you arrive here, you can see that she's roughhousing with two children. And one of the boys is squealing, "Again, Darla, again!" And she kind of like rolls over and they jump on top of her. And she's like kind of pushing them up with paws. As she's doing this, though, and like right just as you're arriving, kind of waiting for your moment to talk to her, the other boy, who's not being sort of tossed around at the moment, sees something near her and picks it up, and you see this shiny, like mirrored ball. It's maybe like the size of like Thorne's fist, and it looks like it might be made of some sort of fabric. It's not like hard, but it's got like these little mirrors all over it. And as he's looking at it and kind of turning it around and kind of tossing it in the air, Durla notices this and suddenly kind of with a start, like rolls over. The boy that was on top kind of falls off and kind of rolls to the side, unharmed. But suddenly Durla is kind of like lunging forward and using a giant paw to swipe this ball out of the other child's hand. And this sudden movement from such a large creature scares the child, and the child runs off into the crowds and kind of just disappears real quick. And Durla is looking after him with this hard to read expression on her cat-like face. What do you guys do?
Durla, isn't it?
And Durla looks over, sees Sam, and kind of like blinks. Says, "Sam, you're back." But and then her eyes, kind of drift back into the crowd, looking for this child. The other boy kind of is pulling himself to his feet, and he's like, "What happened? Why'd you turn over like that? Where'd my brother go?" And Durla is like, "Oh, hold on. I think he's just over there." And she seems like she can't quite see through the crowd to find out where this other child went, and seems torn about leaving the one that she's with.
Can I make a perception check to have tracked where the kid went?
Yeah, give me a perception check.
I can wander off and do my lawful good deed for the day.
I'll try to comfort the child remaining. Just kneel down and be like, "It's okay. Your brother's nearby."
All right, let's get a persuasion check from Thorne. What about Sam? What about Tana?
Perception?
If you're going to go look for the other boy, it's perception.
Yeah.
What did Sylvira get? 10?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
not.
yeah. This child just disappeared very quickly into the crowds, and you don't see him.
I got a 20.
A 20.
So
You saw the direction they went, and they were headed over towards, like, in the direction of some candy stalls that are sort of in the direction of the big top.
Tana's mom radar.
That's the last direction you saw them going. And they were just like tears in their eyes, like, "Ah," and just disappearing into the crowds in that direction. What about Sam?
I got a 21 on my perception check.
Okay, you see the same thing. You and Tana are the two that have an idea where he went.
Sam, I got this, and I'm gonna hit you on the back, and I'll be like, "You talk to your friend, and I'll go get the littles."
Sounds like a plan.
All right, what about Sylvira? Sylvira staying or going with Tana?
I'll go with Tana.
Okay. Thorne, what'd you get for that persuasion check to soothe this child? A 12. That's not bad. He looks up at you and with sort of big eyes, probably never seeing someone so large before. You recognize this child as a child from your village, who you've seen at a distance, but you've been working in you don't really spend much time with the locals, but you've occasionally walked by the great tree in the center of town where they have classes. And this is the first time they've been this close to you, and they're just kind of looking up with big eyes. You seem to have kind of distracted them to the point where they're not concerned for their sibling, at least not at the moment.
Are those people throwing candy still nearby?
No, they've moved on into another part of the carnival. But I think Sylvira had maybe a couple pieces, but she's walking off with Tana right now.
It's okay.
I would have offered the pieces that I picked up. I would have offered them to share for sure.
For everybody else. So yeah, then you might have one if you haven't already eaten it.
Sure. No, I would not have. Brandon?
I was going to say, would you let me have retroactively done something before I left with Tana?
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 2 seconds, so you can stop and...
I will turn back and look to the other one and say, "Was that your brother?"
Yeah, that was my brother.
What is his name?
His name is Vero.
Vero. Thank you. We will go find him. We'll be back.
Yeah, find Vero. Mama's going to be sad if she comes back and he's run off again.
Again? Okay.
He runs off sometimes and he gets upset.
Okay. We'll find him.
Maybe get one of those child leashes while you're out.
That the stiff leash with the invisible dog on it?
Yeah. Just come back and say, just pretend the child's been turned invisible, and here they are.
One of those foam lizards,
I sort of comment out of the corner of my mouth, I remember some other kids that could have used those.
All right.
Anyway, I say to the kid, don't worry. My friends will find him. I've seen you playing with your brother by the great tree in town. And I offer him the bit of candy that Sylvira gave me.
He's like, ooh, and grabs the candy. He's like, we didn't get any candy ourselves. He starts just like unwrapping it and shoving it in his mouth. So Sylvira and Tana, you're going to be out kind of trying to hunt this kid down for a few minutes. In that time, Sam, anything that you have that you want to do here? Any words for Durla?
Yeah, Durla. So the carnival was late. And I didn't get back in time.
Oh dear. She kind of stretches to look behind you at your wings. Oh dear. Are you all right?
No, I'm not. Parts of my memory are going missing. Like, all of the time that I spent here is just a complete haze.
Don't worry. In time, some of it will return. But not all of it. That's part of the deal, I'm afraid. I could remind you of some of the things that you did while you were here. There was a time you worked here with me, managed a little bit of the lost property. Said you were looking for something. Searched it for months. Went through all the things inside the wagon. I don't think anybody was as diligent as you. But you never found it in there.
Well, all right. So you said there's a way to get some of it back.
Your memories, they'll return some of them in time. You'll remember things like dreams, portions of them, things from the past.
But okay. So, like, I'm not the only one who lost things. My friends, my family, they've lost memories too, and they didn't sign anything. They weren't part of any bargain. They didn't work here. So why have they lost things as well? And if you don't know who does,
you, Mr. Witch, Mr. Light, they're the only ones that I think could maybe tell you anything. She seems distressed by it. But they've been acting strange tonight. More than just that we've been late. Something was agitating them. I haven't seen Mr. Light frown in years. He was frowning tonight, although he was trying to hide it. Something is amiss in the carnival.
You don't know what it is.
No, not yet. You could ask around.
I mean, as a personal favor to an old friend, you find some things, I find some things.
If you find the right moment, I remember that you could, you were a sneaky little fellow.
Still am.
Mr. Witch, Mr. Light, they stay in their wagon mostly for the early parts of the night. If you are clever, perhaps you could listen in at their wagon. Maybe they're talking about these things.
That's a good tip. All right. You okay here? You need anything?
Just the boy. If your friends can find him, that would be amazing. And right around that time, Tana and Sylvira, you have found this boy and are returning with him. His face has got like a few tear tracks on it, but he seems like he got distracted by some games over near the big top and was just fascinated with a couple of goblins wrestling an old woman who was trying to win this contest to pin them to the ground.
All right, little guy, listen.
Dwarven woman.
I'm sorry.
Not an old dwarven woman, was it?
No, human.
Just checking.
All right, little guy, listen. Wandering off in this carnival, super dangerous. Scary frogs will take your dreams. Don't do it anymore, all right?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now,
He seems more afraid of Tana than he does almost of anybody else. Tana having arrived, just like, I imagine, like hands on, like, you know, the hips and looking down at this kid like angry little mom.
Not looking down, looking right at him.
Yeah, it's like they're probably eye level.
She's probably shorter, but somehow looking down at him.
She has that ability.
Yeah, something like that. Lean over backwards. They just shrink a little bit. So Vero, the boy Vero has returned. His brother runs over to give him a hug, and things have this small problem has been solved. Durla gives like a big sigh of relief. You kind of feel this purr and this breath kind of wash over you from the large lungs of this creature. She says, thank you so much.
Pray tell, why did you react the way that you did when he touched that silver ball?
And she looks down at it and kind of pulls it closer to her and tucks it underneath. She says, I was careless with it. I should be more careful with it. It belonged to my cub.
Oh.
You are not the only people that have lost things here at the carnival. It is an easy place to get lost.
I'm
You
so
lost
sorry
your
to hear that.
Cub here.
One night, wandered off. Don't know where she went.
How long ago?
About a year. You remember a cub, Sam. Name is kind of coming to you. The name Star. A very young kitten. You seem to remember the day that Star was born. Not that long ago. Maybe 2 years. Displacer beasts kind of grow slowly. Especially because they're so large. Durla says, I would have gone, and I did go to try to find her. But you know the rules of the carnival. If I leave for too long, I can't return. And if one day she does return to the carnival and I'm not here, that would be the worst thing, I think.
Do you have any idea where she'd possibly gone?
I don't.
Well, where were we a year ago?
Well, the night that she went missing, we were sort of between places. I don't know if she wandered off before we left or after. So she could be in that small village that we were in, or she could be somewhere in the wilds, in the Feywilds. I think it's the Feywilds, but I don't know for certain. She wouldn't have gone to the regular world. She knows it's too dangerous for our kind to be hunted there.
Have you seen anyone at the carnival recently in the last 8 years who looks like me, but masculine?
She says, not in the last 8 years, but just a little over 8 years ago. I think there was a man that came here with a dwarf. They were looking for a ring.
Ring?
A dwarven woman?
Yes, dwarven woman.
Tana.
What kind of ring?
I don't know. They described it as silver with a stone on it in the shape of like a moon, I think. Like a crescent moon.
That doesn't sound familiar to me.
Not at all.
Sound familiar to me?
No, not at all.
Thinking maybe something with the moon. Okay. Do you know if they stayed with the carnival or if they left that night?
I would have known had they stayed. And they did not. They only briefly stopped by this this wagon. They searched the contents. I helped them, but the ring wasn't here.
You never saw them leave the carnival?
No, but I don't see many people leave the carnival. I can't quite see the entrance from where I am here.
You said that was
Okay.
a silver ring with a crescent moon?
Mm-hmm.
That was actually very helpful. Thank you. Sorry to hear about your cub.
Yes, yes.
Keep an eye out.
Still hold hope that she's around somewhere. My kind are not easily, made prey by others. Perhaps she just wandered off into the Feywild and will return on one of our passages through it.
People turn up, don't they, Sam?
Sometimes. When do you think the carnival will be passing back through the Feywild?
Well, at the end of this visit in 3 days.
Interesting.
Right, you've been very helpful. Let's have a bit of fun, shall we?
Yes, why not?
Ted is making notes.
Yeah, fun. Absolutely fun. Yeah, that's why we're here for sure. Not really, but yeah.
You hear a buzz overhead, and you see a dragonfly fly over. Child on it, squealing in delight. Zzz. Woohoo!
Remember that?
I do.
Seems like a long time ago.
Seems like another life ago.
Seemed like 8 years ago. Exactly. Almost. Give or take 10 minutes. Anyway, sorry. Where to now?
Durla kind of leans a little closer to Sam as you guys are discussing this. And she says, a tip for you, if you're really looking for help here in the carnival, you'll be accused of being party poopers if you mope around the entire night. No one's going to want to help you if you're not part of the games that happen here.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. Well, I say the best way for us to investigate is to take part.
What do you suggest?
Well, I mean, what games didn't you play the last time you were here?
We never did get to the snail racing.
Or
Sure,
the
why
mystery
not?
mine?
All right, let's do it. I got a card with no punches. I could
Can
race
you-
a snail. I'll beat you all, too.
When you call out the mystery mine, Durla says, I would save the mystery mine for later. Doesn't always leave people with the right impression. Save that one for later.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Unless you think you are courageous, that is.
Oh, we got buckets
Well,
of courage.
Look at these guys. Of course they're
Yeah.
courageous.
Look at this face.
Well,
Oh, I've seen faces like that before, and I've seen them reduced to puddles of tears when they've come off the mystery mine.
Ah, Tanner's got a squint you could crack rocks on. Come on.
Perhaps. What do you know of the Hall of Illusions?
Not so much of a ride, really, as an interesting walk through time. I don't want to give it away, but it's interesting what you'll see in there. You never quite know what to expect. A little bit of the past, a little bit of the future.
Interesting. Perhaps that's somewhere else we should take a look if we have the time.
Oh, definitely that.
But there's some snail races. That sounds fun.
Let's start with the snails.
Yeah,
All right.
snails, of course. Yeah.
You head south towards the snails, and let's before you get into the snail races themselves, let's take a little bit of a 5-minute break. And we come back. We'll start off with a bang.
Sounds good.
Be right back, everybody.
Be right back, everyone.
Snails, 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 snails. Super
Snail.
jazz.
Snails, snails, snails. Snails, 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 snails.
Did anybody hear about like the reasons why snails appear in all of these like old illuminated manuscripts?
No, why?
Yeah, and I think that's where the idea of riding snails came from, because in these old illuminated manuscripts, like there would be like knights jousting on snails and stuff, and like just snails appear in old like biblical texts for reasons nobody's quite sure. And then I don't know how I found it on TikTok, but there's this woman where it's like her whole job is like to be a historian about snails and illuminated manuscripts. And she essentially said it's kind of like it's figurative. I guess a snail was considered like lazy or slow or something. I might be getting this completely wrong because I haven't seen it in a couple of months. So like it was like a critique. So if you saw like two knights riding snails and jousting at each other, they were like full of it and they were actually really lazy. And it wasn't they're not actually like really heroic. They're just full of talk or something like that. So it was like symbolic. They were like the emojis of the time or something. For like
they were the memes. They were the night memes.
Yeah, they were like the memes.
They're making fun of the knights.
Yeah, and there was just some like really bored celibate monk who's just like, "There's a snail there. There's a snail here."
Became like an in joke amongst the monks.
Yeah,
put him on a snail. Watch this. It's gonna drive him insane.
I guess it also meant cowardice. Cowardice was another thing it was associated with.
Oh.
I don't know.
Snails are not the only thing that bored monks drew in the margins.
Yes.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
all sorts of,
Yeah. Yep.
Little Mermaid moments, you mean? Drawing a little, that's not a tower. What is that?
So I am very excited about the snail racing, but it's so funny that we're like coming off 8 years of trauma of missing parents. And the instruction is, to find your parents, you gotta have fun. It's like, how do we...
The carnival is a bit twisted.
How do we on this?
Really? Really? That's the first vibe I'm getting of it being weird. Honestly.
Some of you were built for this. Sylvira, I know that there's a kid inside Sylvira still somewhere that is just yearning for more candy floss and candies. And like every time you guys go by something that's like, I have a feeling that Sylvira is the one that's like,
I love
gotta like pull her back in the right direction.
She seems so laced up, and then you get her in front of some candy floss.
She's Catholic. I have a feeling that Sylvira is Catholic.
Yeah, that kid is there. That kid is still in there. For sure.
Drawing snails in the margins of her illuminated manuscripts.
Exactly. Yeah. You guys are going to get back to town, and like you're going to be later on. There's going to be like a sermon or whatnot, and Sylvira is just going to be like picking up the big book, and you're going to see like the snails like all over it.
Yep. I'm creating a new sect of followers. Snail Luna.
Snail Luna. Slug Luna. Snail Luna.
Yeah.
My gosh.
All right, so let's get to the actual snail races here. When you pass through the carnival heading in the direction of the snail races, they're kind of down towards, like I described, the carnival is a bit laid out, sort of like a figure eight. And the lost property is right in the center. You're heading to sort of the lower left-hand side of this map if you looked at it from above. You pass by the Hall of Mirrors, actually, when you're headed to the snail races, and you can see that it's not an especially popular attraction. There's like a few people that are kind of hanging around it. One person kind of, a pair walks in, but it's not like, there doesn't seem to be a huge draw for it. In fact, as you're passing by, you see that there's the person that they've put in charge to like take tickets is this clown who looks about as happy as Sam does. Just very drab looking, all shades of gray and just kind of mopey with his arms hanging down. Like someone comes by and he looks sort of like the goth teenager that's working at like, Walmart or something like that. They take your credit card and just kind of like, and then they just send them in. But you pass that by with just kind of a glance because you guys are headed towards the snail races. When you get there, you find that the races themselves are built with grandstands around the side so that other fairgoers who aren't part of the races can sit there and watch and cheer on their favorite racer. And right now they are filled with cheering fairgoers who are ringing bells and swinging rattles and waving flags. The starting line, you can see that there are 8 snails that are currently having their shells scrubbed by little pixies, sort of like, imagine like, this is NASCAR for like Fairyland. And they take it very seriously. And you can even see like above this circular course, there's a wooden gantry that's hanging from the branches of a tree. And in this gantry are a pair of goblins that are ready to officiate this entire race and give it sort of like the play-by-play. And they've got like these little horns that they're, holding in their hands. And you can kind of hear them bantering up there going, who do you think is going to win this one? Like, I don't know. I think that orange snail might do it. And another one's like, no, that one, it's got a broken leg. And those like, it don't have legs. And they're just kind of BSing up in this tree as you guys come through the entrance to this. And getting into the stands is free, but if you want to ride, that takes a punch of a ticket. And right now, there's kind of a few people that are looking at like the rides with a little bit of hesitation. And like you hear one person say, "I don't know, man, they go really fast. Like, did you see how fast? Like faster than a horse."
I'm going straight to it.
Straight to it. You're just like right to them, ticket in the face, get it punched.
Yep.
Tana as well.
Oh yeah, I'm all in.
And Thorne as well.
I'm
and
not
Sam, you
missing this.
flash your ticket and they just kind of nod at you and let you pass. They don't punch your ticket at all, Sam. Yours seems to be limitless. You head into the racing concourse and they send you, they don't really assign you a snail. You can see that there are 8 lined up here. They're all different colors. There's a pink and blue and purple, green, yellow, orange, red, and black like colored snail. They've painted their shells so that's easy to sort of tell them apart. They also each have numbers that have been written on the side, 1 through 8. And although their names aren't written, you can hear some of the pixies saying, what do you want? Which one? You want number 1? That's Smelly Moo. You want Smelly Moo? No, to Smelly Moo. Well, what about number 3, High Road?
I want the one with the pink shell. I feel like pink's a very misunderstood color.
That's Smelly Moo.
That's Smelly Moo?
Yeah, number 1, Smelly Moo.
Oh my gosh.
Step right up.
I step up.
What about the rest of you? You see, there's like I said, there's 8 different colors. Anybody have a preference?
Green.
Green is number 4, Quickleaf.
Do they have a blue?
There is a blue. That's number 2, Nimblefoot.
I will take. Oh, that sounds good. Can Nimblefoot hold me? Is Nimblefoot big enough?
Yeah, these snails are big. They're bigger than horses. They can carry probably even a large creature, but they may be slowed down a little bit.
Is there a
Think light.
what is the black one's name?
Life.
The black one is the one that's number 8, and that is Queen's Majesty.
I will take that one.
Of course you get the one like with the really amazing like name, and I'm like on Smelly Moo.
You're on Smelly Moo.
Tina loves it though. This is perfect for her.
All right. Who was on the blue again? Was that
That was me.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me put you on that real quick. Nimblefoot, which is blue, and that is going to be. Oops, I can't type right now. That's going to be Thorne, and then green is Sam, correct? Or
Correct.
do I have that wrong?
On Quickleaf.
Quickleaf is number 4. And then we've got, last but not least, we've got Sylvira on number 8, Queen's Majesty. All right, you guys load up on these things. They've got saddles and all, and they're all kind of all decked out. They tell you as you're getting your foot in the stirrups, hold on tight. These guys really move. And 1 second, as I just get the last of these notes in, because I got to find out who wins.
All right. Despite himself, at this point, Thorne is kind of starting to get excited.
I'm going to hold my symbol of Seluna and say a quiet prayer. Twilight Goddess, help me win this race. And I'm going to give myself guidance.
All right.
Cheating with gods.
Cheater.
Sam, you totally look over and you see that Sylvira is like saying a prayer. Way over at the end, all by herself on Queen's Majesty. All right. With you guys mounted up, other visitors get their tickets punched, join in the race. By the end, all of these snails have different riders. And once you're all saddled up, they tell you that the race itself is divided into, that the rules are basically do whatever you can to get your snail to move forward. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of a nudge. Sometimes it takes some sweet talking. You can try throwing a candy, but that ain't going to work. And if you use salt, you're out of the game. And then at the center of the ring where those two guys are, they call out on their little speaker things. For those that are ready, the games are about to begin. The race will start at the count of 3 and the explosion of a firework. And the crowd starts going crazy, like, yeah! And you can see some of them have got flags with different colors representing the different, different snails that are in this race. And they count up. 1, 2, 3! And one pulls this trigger, and this little firework comes flying out of this little gun out into the sky and explodes. And at that point, all of these snails are obviously trained to go when they see this thing, and they go. And when I mean go, these things travel at 80 feet per round, which is, that's almost twice as fast as like a fast horse. So you guys are just barely holding on for the first 6 seconds as these things tear off around the track, leaving dust trails and like people's hats flying off and stuff like that as you go. In the first round, let's get animal handling checks from all of you. See if you can't push your mounts to gain a little speed.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. Tell me what your total is.
My total is 23, and that is without guidance. So I haven't used that yet.
All right. 23 actually gives you a boost. So when you hit 12, your mount's going to go an extra 10 feet. When you get to 17, it goes another 20 feet. If you hit 22, it goes an extra 30 feet. So your mount this round is going 110 feet in that 6 seconds.
Holy crap.
So Queen's Majesty is off to a fast start. What about Tana? What'd you roll?
I got a 13.
A 13. That's enough to add 10 feet of movement. That puts you 90 feet. About Thorne.
I am bringing up rear with a strong 5.
A strong 5. So you're kicking the side of this thing, trying to get it to go, and it just sort of moseys a bit.
I'm just like waving my hat in the air, slapping the snail, and it's like not doing anything.
You're still going 80. You're still going fast,
all right,
but like just not as fast as the rest of them. What about Sam?
12.
12. 12 is just enough to give yourself a little burst of speed. Let me roll real quick for the rest of the riders. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 of them because there's 4 of you. And let's just see what we got here. The first one is just regular speed. The second one is going fast, but not as fast as Queen's Majesty. Third and fourth. So the first... It looks like we got 90 feet from the... Actually, no, 80 feet from the first. We've got from number 5. 5 is at 90 feet. No, 100 feet, because they rolled that really good one. And the last 2 are just at 80. All right. In the lead, Queen's Majesty, black number 1. We're coming in right, it's tied neck and neck for second place. Quick Leaf and Smelly Moo. All right, now we go into round 2. Once you've caught up to speed, now some things kind of happen at snail races. Like sometimes the crowd gets super excited, sometimes the snail gets a Charlie horse. Who knows? And we're about to find out what that is going to be. On round number 2, one of the snails in your group suffers a mishap.
No,
Uh-oh. And it's Queen's Majesty. So fast off the bat, it gets way out there, and then it just comes grinding to a halt. And something has gone wrong with it, and it sort of like turns a little circle for a second, and you have lost 40 feet off your next number. So keep that in mind. You're starting at 40 for your next round. With that said, let's go into the next round and start at Schmelly Moo. Everybody roll your animal handling again, and let's see what happens.
$11.
10, 11. That's that just puts you at 80. Puts you at 170. Let's go for Thorne.
I got 15 this time.
15. That's enough for an extra boost. Puts you at 90 plus your 80. Puts you at 170. You're neck and neck now with Tana. Did I add that wrong?
And say, I'm
I added
gonna
that wrong.
beat you, Tana.
Tana should be at 180. No, there we go. This is how I did it wrong. I can't add tonight. That's sad. Okay, let me roll for number 3 here, and then number 3 just goes another 80. They're at 160. And Sam on number 4, Quick Leaf.
12.
12 is enough to get a little burst of speed that puts you at 180. I'm going to go for 5 is normal speed. 6 is normal speed. 7 loses some speed. So we're going to be talking here. Let me take a look at these real quick. 180. 160. And 150. That one fumbled. Let's go for Sylvira. What'd you roll this round?
So I rolled a 13 plus 3 plus 1 from guidance. 17.
17. 17 is just enough to add 2 tiers to your speed. So that brings you to 60, which puts you at 170. So despite this setback, you're only in second place. But the lead is now Sam at 180 feet right now on green number 4, Quick Leaf. Now we're going to go into Snail Races round number 3. And on this time, as you guys are rounding the turns, somebody in the stands chucks a head of lettuce at a random snail. And the snail stops to eat the lettuce and doesn't move at all.
It's gonna be mine.
Cocked die. That's number 3. That's not one of you.
Oh.
They get lettuced.
Lucky.
People start just laughing as this one stops, and the person on that one is just like, "Oh no! Come on, this ain't fair." Yeah. Next round, no matter what they do, it just won't move. It's just going to sit there and eat a piece of lettuce. Next round, let's go animal handling checks again.
All right. I love how Mario Kart this is. This is great.
It is. It's very Mario Kart.
I was thinking head of lettuce is the strangest Mario Kart weapon that never made it to the game. Rob, would you allow me to cast guidance on myself again?
If you so flying around at breakneck speeds on this thing, roll a concentration check.
Okay.
If you can make that concentration check, you'll get it off quick enough and hold it long enough to give yourself guidance.
Okay. And so this is concentration is D20 plus con?
Yeah, and you got to beat a 10.
Okay.
Let's go for. Let me know.
That's an 11.
All right, good for you. You can do your guidance again. Let's go through animal handling. Tana first.
I got a dirty 20.
A dirty 20. That adds another 2, so that puts you at 100. Puts you at 270. Thorne on blue.
I got a nat 20.
Which puts you at what total?
20.
Same thing for you. You're now at 260. You're still behind Tana by 10 feet.
Tana.
Number 3 is lettuced. He just sits there and just kicks his shell and just curses. Number 4, Sam on Quick Leaf.
12.
12 again. That puts you at 90, which will put you at 270, which puts you currently tied with Tana. Let me go for 5, 6, 7. 5. Ooh, We got to do this real quick. 5 is going to be a little faster there at 270. 6 gets 2, which puts him at 100, 260. And number 7 is slow, and they are going to be at 230. Last but not
Shit.
least,
What do we
Majesty.
win?
What do you win? You don't know.
We don't know?
You get the crowd. You get the crowd cheering you on, and maybe bragging rights. Sylvira, what'd you get?
8 total.
8 with everything.
I rolled a 3 plus 3 plus 2 from guidance. So
All
after
right.
all that,
After all that, you're at 250. Puts you in basically like 4th place. Suddenly from
Awesome.
1st to 4th.
Where's your god now?
oh, shit.
This Tana like overtakes you.
Oh, damn. All right.
It's a little
All right.
competitive. Maybe a smidge.
All right. Snail Race surprises next round. Let's see what happens.
Oh,
This is going to be one random snail is bolstered by the cheering crowd and will move an extra 20 feet this round. Who does the crowd like? The crowd feels bad for the Queen's Majesty and starts cheering you
Yes.
on. You get another bonus of 20 to your speed, so you're going to start at 100. Let's do animal handling checks again. And we'll start at the top. Tana, when you're ready.
All right. Ooh, that's what I get for bragging. 9.
9. All right. No bonuses there. You're at, looks like 350 feet. And Thorne.
Look, I rolled
Come on,
a
Nimblefoot.
D12 first. Can I just keep what I rolled on the D12?
No.
I got 2.
You got a 2. All right. Nimblefoot, what are you doing? You're going in circles. Nimblefoot does not gain any speed. You are at 340, still 10 feet behind Tana. Lettuce. Let's see what Lettuce does. Lettuce just gives up. He just sits back, just throws his hands in the air, and it just starts going, but it's not going. It's been renamed at this point. You hear the pixies like, somebody go get a brush. We're going to need to rename that one at the end. And it's at 240, which is way behind everyone. All right, Sam on quick leave. Yes, of course. That's all part of the thing. People are laughing their asses off with the hijinks happening here. Sam, what'd you get for quick leaf?
16.
16. That puts you at 90, which will put you at 360, which puts you in second place, I think. Or no, first place right now. Let's go for 5, 6, and 7. Nope. Oop, yep. That's 2 for them. 5 is just puttering along at 350. 6 actually goes up to 360, neck and neck now with Sam. Number 7, same thing, but it's slower. It's at 330 because that's the one that kind of screwed up a couple rounds ago. Last but not least, again, Sylvira.
Would you allow me to make another concentration check for guidance?
Sure.
Okay.
Roll it with disadvantage this time, though, because you're burning rubber already.
Okay. That's a 9. I rolled a 10 and then a 9.
Oh, so
Okay.
close. All right, know what your
That's all
animal
good. All right. Animal handling. Straight up. I got a 9.
A 9.
Damn it.
Had that guidance gone off, you may have had a chance. That just leaves you at 8, puts you at 330. All right, in the lead. Green, number 4, quick leaf. That's you, Sam. All right, next round. You guys are coming around the bend now. You can kind of see the finish line, maybe one more lap around. No surprises this round. Let's go right for animal handling checks again. We're going to start at the top. Tana.
Get out my lucky dice. Let's do it.
Your guidance die?
Yeah. 14.
14. That's enough for a little boost. Puts you at 440. Thorne.
7.
7. You're just not having good luck right now. Puts you at 42.
I don't know.
Lettuce. Yeah, same thing. They're not even trying anymore. They're just waving to the crowd as they go by real slow. They're at 320. They're 100 behind, like the slowest person. Sam.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. All right. That adds 100. That puts you at 460. Puts you possibly in the lead right now. Let's go for number 5. 5 doesn't do anything. 6 gets a boost. Number 5 will be at 320. And number 6 will be at 450. 10 feet behind you. Then number 7. Nope. And last, again, Sylvira on 8.
14.
14. That adds 10, which puts you at 90 for the round, which leaves you at 420. This, I believe you guys are coming up on the home stretch here. Yeah.
Did I get 80 or 100 last round?
I think you got 80 last round because you didn't make it, right? Yeah, you rolled real low.
They were cheering me on.
Oh, that's right. I thought that was the round before that.
No, last round was the cheering, I believe.
Yeah. Was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, but you also lost 40 at 1.2. That's the only reason you're so far behind the lead.
That's right. I did.
Yeah, had that not happened to you, you would be tied with Sam right now. All right. At 480 feet is the finish line. So let's see if there's any last minute snafus here in the last round.
Lettuce.
No, but this is another snail decides to just chill for the round. It's going to lose 40 feet. Let's roll a D8, see who it is. It is number 5. Luckily, not one of you. So let's get animal handling checks. Sam, you are going to win this. The only other person that's close is number 6. I'm going to roll for number 6. Nobody else can catch up in this short amount of time, I think. But if you want to know who comes in second and third, go ahead and roll, and we'll add them all up.
I do want to see if I can beat Tana.
Okay.
I probably can't.
I'm going to roll for the other guys here. All right. Number 6. Oh. What's going to happen here? And then.
Go Sam.
All right, Sam, what did you get?
6.
Oh.
Good thing the other person did not roll well enough to get a speed boost either. So you managed to just hold on to the win, and you managed to hold on to this place by an ice stock as it comes over the racing finish line.
Jumping up on the shell and riding it surfing style. I cross the line.
All right, you get some style points for that. So you were going to win. Let's see, Tana, how did you do on this round?
The last one I got a 15.
15. That'll put you at 530. What about Thorne?
I got another 7.
Another 7.
Nice.
You're just at 500. So you come in, then Lettuce is way in the end. Sam, you just rolled straight up, which puts you at 54. So it looks like Sam, of course, wins number 6. Oh, well, what about Sylvira? I didn't get Sylvira's last one.
17.
17. Oh, that actually adds 2, which puts you at 100, puts you at 520. You actually tie for second place with number 6. You managed to catch up a bit. So first place goes to Sam. Second place tied with number 6 and number 8, which is Sylvira. After that, we have Tana in third. Fourth place is going to number 6. Fifth place to Thorne. Sixth place to number 7. Fifth place to number 5. And then last place, number 3, Lettuce.
I would like to take this opportunity to retire from the game of snail racing undefeated.
You do that. You guys hear a couple of the other pixies saying, "He said that before." How many times has he retired undefeated? No, he's too good at this. Yes, I think he cheats.
Sylvira hops off her snail, absolutely elated and laughing almost hysterically, and runs over and gives Sam a huge hug. We're like, "You did so well! Gosh! Oh! Excuse me, I'm sorry. That was a lot of fun."
Yeah.
Sam, in the meanwhile, is being led over to the winner's circle, which, of course, they have a big wreath they hang over the neck of this snail, and the two guys in the top are basically cheering you on. You're like, number 4, Green Quickleaf comes in the lead. The rider, Samarand, used to be one of our own in the past, ladies and gentlemen, but has left the carnival, become one of the normal fairgoers, just like you. And no, we didn't give him any extra bonuses to win. Normally, Quickleaf isn't quite well named. But they do come over, and you do win a prize for coming in first. And a couple of pixies come over, and they hand you a little bottle. And it's got a little A on the side of it. And you remember that this bottle, before they even tell you, you remember that this bottle gives you sort of a boost when you need it. When you drink this potion, you will gain advantage on one ability check, attack roll, or saving throw of your choice that you make within the next hour. So when you drink this, it lasts an hour, and you get to do, you can make basically one reroll. It's almost like having inspiration. It's called a potion of advantage.
Nice.
Cool. I come up to Tana and say, "Oh, you got me this time."
Well, you're kind of a bigger guy, and you're on a snail, but
It's not its fault.
no, it's not its fault at all. These are good animals. But you know what? You're always better at me at Thorne.
What's that?
Getting stuff on top of the top shelves, man.
Yeah, you're right.
You're real good at that.
I am good at that. He walks off feeling really good about himself.
It's so easy to compliment Thorne.
Just reaching for the tall leaves.
Yeah. As you're leaving the snail races with your prize, you kind of glance back, and it turns out there was a booby prize for whoever came in last. And you see that the poor fairgoer who is, on lettuce, was kind of like looking dejected, like this was, not what they, punched their ticket for, until someone comes over and says, "There is a consolation prize for those that didn't do so well." And they hold out a little wand to them. And they say, "This wand here, it's got a little bit of magic in it. You can create some dancing lights with it. Just once, though, just once." The person grabs the wand, kind of looking at it like, "What the?" And then they turn and they point it at number 5, their snail, which is named Flower Flash. And they yell this word, and these little orbs come flying out of it and like kind of bounce off the side of the snail, and the snail just kind of like looks over slowly, and the guy says, "That's what you get for losing." And he takes the wand, and he marches off and like throws the wand in a garbage can.
Talk about a sore loser.
All right, you guys have that is the snail races. You come out of the snail races. You see Pixie Kingdom is kind of right across the way. The mystery mines are off to your right. To your left are is the Hall of Illusions. That's pretty much all there is in the southern part of the carnival, with the exception of the Bubble Pop Teapot, which is you kind of have to go back around to the center to get to.
Well, I say, dusting myself off, and there's like a little bit of slime on me from the snail. I just get it off my boot. I say, well, that was actually pretty pleasant, and I guess this whole place isn't a complete loss in terms of the fun. So we're supposed to be having fun, right? While we're here, Sam.
Right.
What's our plan?
Explore. Enjoy.
All right.
Try like wonderment and all that sort of thing.
But
Yeah.
Is that gonna help us find our parents?
I think in the long run, yeah. Because, I mean, here at the carnival, you're supposed to have fun. And the more fun you're having, the more engaged you are. And the more engaged you are, the more likely it is that you'll find something interesting.
Fair enough. It's not bad. We can do this.
I see. The whole carnival is the game. We have to play the game.
Yeah, there are layers.
Do you
It's
think,
like, what's the name?
do you think
Onion.
Mavra's in the Hall of Illusions?
One way to find out.
I'm not sure, but it does seem to be the least populated area.
We could go there. I'm a little curious about this future telling thing.
Yes. That could be distressing, potentially.
Or very good. Maybe it says, that we're going to complete this and we're going to find what we need.
That's also very true. Sam, what do you know of the minecart situation? The lost mines? Was that what it was called?
Mystery mine.
I roll a d20 for Sam real quick. Let's see what you do remember.
18.
18. That warning to you from Durla, there's something about it you feel like you need to take to heart. You know that the mystery mines there's something about your fears and conquering them in the mystery mine. That if you're brave enough, you can come out of the mystery mine feeling on top of the world. But if you're tested and you kind of found wanting, it can kind of ruin your day too. It's all about sort of challenging and possibly frightening experiences, but some of them are almost comical in the way that they are presented. Sometimes you have vague recollections of it.
Durla said, let's save that for later. And I think perhaps we should bolster our spirits a bit with a bit more fun.
All right. There's the bubbles. There's lots of bubbles up in the air.
You look up and you see, a couple bubbles flying over the southern part of the carnival. And in those bubbles, you see people running in them. In sort of like little hamsters and hamster balls in the air.
We could probably get a better view from up there, too. My memory of flying on those dragonflies is kind of fuzzy.
You were moving quite fast, if my memory serves.
And things may have also changed since we were here.
For some reason, I don't think that's the case. But I'm still up for a bubble ride.
Okie dokie.
I
Let's do
it. Getting up in the sky.
All right, you guys head back around sort of this lower circle of the carnival in the direction of the bubble pop teapot. As you head up. You end up passing the Hall of Illusions for a second time that day. Glancing over at it, you can see that standing side of that there's like an archway that leads to a couple large tents that are connected together. And there's a little archway that leads sort of from the walkway into an inner sort of area before you get to those tents. And right at that archway, you see that there is a cabinet which seems to have a mannequin inside, sort of like Zoltan, the whatever it was from Big. This one is dressed as a grinning, raven-haired young woman in witch's attire, and she has green flowing capes that hover, and the whole thing sort of hovers inside this glass cabinet. And at the top of the cabinet, there's a sign that reads "Tasha the Wizard, known for her hideous laughter." You're kind of glancing over at this as you're just walking by. And as you are, and your intent is to kind of keep moving on to the bubble pop teapot, but you also notice that there's a couple over near this cabinet that have kind of stepped out of the pathway to get away from the crowds, a halfling couple, and they're holding hands as they approach the opening, this archway, and the cabinet stands right next to it. As they do, one of the halflings, you can see he's this male one. He's wearing this face paint of like butterflies and stuff like that. And he turns, and as he does, he drops to one knee, pulling out a small box from his pocket, and goes to offer it to his sweetheart, this little female halfling, and she suddenly just bursts out into laughter, like right in his face, and just grabs her stomach and just falls to the ground in gales of laughter. Yeah, and all sorts of people are having the same expression as like the two of you at this, and he looks around and sees like people noticing him in this scene, and tears start welling up like in his eyes and start dripping down his face paint, and he just turns and runs sobbing through the archway, the only direction he can go to escape, which is right into the Hall of Illusions. That clown you saw that was standing at the entrance just kind of like watches him go by, like he's trying to get a ticket, but like he can't even like get a punch, and he just kind of just gives like a shrug as this halfling vanishes into the tents. A couple of people are standing around looking at each other, and the girl that was laughing is rolling around on the ground still. What do you do? Do you do anything?
So wait, he went in without getting his ticket punched?
Yeah, he just ran right past the Witchlight hand, who's this drab, gray-toned clown standing at the entrance.
I have a question about that. With the obsessive way that Tana has been following this carnival, does she have any idea, or does Sam have any idea what would happen if somebody did something in the carnival without getting their ticket punched?
I can neither confirm nor deny anything. You may have your suspicions, and they're probably up on your board. Feel free to run with any conspiracy theory you think makes sense. If it's in your head right now, I imagine it's on that board, and probably a pretty strong one.
So I just say, I just remembered. I was pretty excited about the Hall of Illusions, and I walk over there real quick.
Thorne.
That is a good idea, Thorne. I'll go with you.
Let's stick together.
Two.
Yeah.
Please, one for me and one for that kind, young, small man who just ran in. And I give the clown my ticket.
You step up to the clown. The clown just kind of like moping there, just grabs your ticket and just has this little puncher thing, and hands your ticket back to you. Meanwhile, the last to kind of come through, I think, is maybe Tana. You see the girl kind of picking herself up off the ground and just like kind of exhaustion like in her body, just breathing hard and trying to move the stitch out of her side. She's not laughing at all anymore.
I look at her and I say, that was very rude what you did to that young man.
And she kind of you see tears kind of coming to her eyes, and she's I didn't mean it. I don't know what happened. It's like I had no control.
What?
Yes, yeah, I don't know. It was this thing I saw, I don't know, something. I felt something very strange, and I couldn't stop laughing. I didn't mean to do it. Can you go back? Can you find him? I'm worried he's going to run off, and if I go in, he'll go out the side entrance and maybe just leave the carnival. Can you go in and try to find him?
Yeah, of course we're already going in, but honey, what did you see?
I didn't really see anything. I thought I heard a little bit of laughter from that mannequin, and she kind of looks over at it and just doesn't know what to make of it. And then she looks up at the sign and she says, is that thing enchanted?
I look over at it.
Do you have any way of telling if something is enchanted?
I don't. I'm just going to eyeball it in my very suspicious manner.
Tana, the person said, Tasha, known for her hideous laughter.
Well, yeah, I mean,
what?
She's fairly famous.
I never heard of her.
Well, there was that bard who used to sing at the tavern. He told me about it, but...
Well, maybe you better make sure she's okay.
Well, all right. We're going to go in. We're going to find your man. You just sit here and this. I kind of lean into her and I'm like, this carnival's a little spooky. Don't go anywhere. Just stay
I won't.
here.
I'll stay right here. And she just kind of moves off to the side and sits down.
Maybe away from that thing, though.
Yeah, she definitely went the other direction.
Yeah.
Does anybody go to investigate the case at all or anything, or the mannequin?
I want to go after that halfling guy.
Yeah, Thorne, I'm assuming, is already inside the hall of
All right.
illusions. Yep. What about Sam and Sylvira?
I'm right behind Thorne because that broke my heart. And I want to go sort it out.
She, as you guys are heading in, wait, I didn't get an answer from Sam. Is Sam going in or doing something else?
I'm investigating the case.
You're investigating the case. All right, you head over to the case to look at it. As you get close, you feel a little tingle. Give me a wisdom save, and I think you might get advantage on this. Do you have advantage on charm type of spells?
I do.
Roll with advantage.
21.
You feel like this little urge to laugh, but just a little tiny giggle comes out, and that's about it.
Yep, it's this thing. All right.
And then you head inside? Or do you wait outside with the girl?
I'm going to go back over to Tana and say it wasn't her fault. It's the carnival. You're all right, miss. What's your name?
My name's Ween. And my boyfriend, his name is Ruben. Just call out for Ruben.
All right. I'll go find the others. You stay with her. Or are you coming either way?
Sam, I'm not going anywhere away from you. That's just not happening.
All right. Then let's go.
All right.
All right. The group of you enter into the Hall of Illusions. When you do, you find that this tent itself, as you're stepping in, you look at the outside. It's painted with a mural of shifting images that show grinning fairies that are dancing, and diving into like pools of color. All sorts of crazy things going on here. There's also helical stripes on the tent's pointed canopies that seem to rotate in spirals. The whole display gives you this sort of feeling like it's intended to befuddle onlookers, just kind of make you like woozy and whatnot by looking at it. You all get your tickets punched and you step inside. Beyond the flap of the tent here, you find yourself in sort of a maze of mirrors. And these all, of course, the reflecting images back at you. But the images that you see when you first enter, they're not the images of you as you are now. In fact, they show you reflections of what you looked like as young children, younger than you were when you first came to the carnival.
I look at it. I touch the mirror.
Feels like a real mirror. It goes boom, boom.
And it reacts the way I react to it.
Yeah. Other than the fact that it's a little child version of you. Yeah.
I put my
mirrors you exactly. Hmm?
Does excuse me? Does young child me also?
Yep.
If we touch hands.
Yeah.
I make silly faces at mine.
Have we caught up to each other?
Yeah. So Thorne is probably just, getting over that this reflection thing as the group. The rest of you join him. Sam, the version of you that you see in this mirror is of course you as a child, but the rest of you can see this too. It's not that you're seeing your own reflections and not anybody else's. You can see the reflection of Sam as well, and his reflection shows this child who looks like he's dressed in rags and is like covered in grime and like dirt, and just looks like skinny and waifish.
Oh man. That's how you looked right when Mom's got you, when they took you off the streets.
Vaguely remember that.
Oh, Sam, I'm so sorry.
Why? I'm much better now.
I suppose that's true. Children shouldn't have to go through those hardships, though.
They do. It's the way of the world.
Did you see my bug eyes? Oh, Sam, is that you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But look at you, Thorne. You were a cutie. Look at how cute you were. You're just like a little boulder.
Look at this. I used to love to do that when I was a kid.
Oh, man.
It's a pretty good representation of what you looked like. You don't know how the magic works here, but you must be tapping into something of like your essence or something. The further you move into the Hall of Mirrors, the older these images of you become. So you step like 2 or 3 mirrors down, and like maybe a year has passed. And as you make your way deeper, you begin aging up. Anybody have any particular visions of their character as they age up that might change or startle them or anyone else? Any periods in your time, maybe where you felt awkward or weird or something had happened to you? For instance, like Sylvira, there's probably a moment where like the clothes that you change, that change, and you remember that was like a period of time where, like right after your mother had left, and your father had told you that she wasn't coming back.
I imagine there's just a reflection of me as a child just crying.
Oh.
Except maybe the child isn't crying. Maybe it's you. In fact, the rest of you probably look at this and it's probably Sylvira's crying, and the reflection is just mirroring her.
I pat her on the shoulder.
I give her a big hug.
Oh, thanks, Thorne. Thanks.
The only one of your group that seems to have like this, like a normal progression of childhood would be Thorne. Thorne doesn't really remember his parents, I don't think.
No. There is one notable moment where I'm sort of like a big kid, and then a little bigger kid, and then a little bigger, like normal. And then there's one point at about 11 where then he suddenly goes, whoop!
Like from one mirror to the next, he's like twice the size or something.
Yeah, one mirror to the next, he's suddenly huge.
Oh, I remember that time. We couldn't keep any food in the house. My God. You ate everything.
We went through shoes like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I know.
I think I'm still hungry.
Oh, Thorne. I pull out some more candy that I made away with from the ground candy.
All right, so in order to, you still have a thing you're in here for. Like you're distracted a lot by these by these reflections of yourselves, but you have somebody to find. Give me perception checks, all 4 of you, because this place is a bit of a maze, and you realize that you're going to have to kind of go off the beaten path or find your way through this maze in order to catch up to Ruben.
Oh, that die roll was a journey. Saw 4 different numbers on it before it finally settled.
All right, what do we got? Let's go Thorne first.
10.
Okay, Sam.
Dirty 20.
Ooh, nice. Sylvira.
11.
11 and Tana.
Critical failure.
Critical failure. All right, so Tana, you're just stuck at one point where you get most of the way through this maze, and you get to a point where you're aged up now past the point where the carnival had happened in your past, and maybe Tana, you've stopped to kind of just focus on this image of you, which suddenly changes, from like sort of the year before the carnival to the year after, where suddenly you're dressed like totally different and like have like a very serious look on your face. And you remember that was like the year that you sort of had to kind of grow up and become like the parent in the house because Morgana couldn't do it anymore. So you kind of find yourself a little bit left behind while the rest focus and move on. But Sam is the one that just bolts forward, very focused, and ends up turning a corner where you think might be near the end of this maze. And Sam, you find Ruben, this halfling, kind of down at like the end of this little hall of mirrors, and he's standing in front of one mirror at the end, which is slightly oval shaped. And you spot in the reflection of that mirror himself, older, like kind of wizened, But standing behind him in that mirror, behind his own reflection, is a girl with a pig-shaped mask. And it seems as if Reuben is having a conversation with her.
Ooh.
And I think that is where we will hold off for tonight and pick it up next week.
Ah!
Nice.
What?
Intrigue. Very well.
Something from the past. Have you caught up to it, or has it caught up to you?
Interesting.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice cliffhanger.
Yeah, that is a good cliffhanger.
All right, and for everybody else that's watching, we'll be back next Tuesday to find out what happens here.
Fantastic.
Will Reuben be reunited with his girlfriend Ween? Is that important? Who knows?
I didn't know you said ween. I was like, tween? Queen?
Her name is Ween.
What?
Ween. W-E-E-N.
Oh,
Like the band?
Is there a band named Ween?
Yep.
Yeah.
W-E-E-N? Yes, then apparently like the band. You can thank Christopher Perskins, who I think he's the one that wrote this entire adventure, and he's got some doozies in here that you guys haven't even encountered yet.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Ween. Oh.
All right, back in the carnival. Had some fun with the snail races.
Wow.
Maybe learned a few things.
Yeah, I learned a little bit about the carnival. Not enough to satisfy Tana. She'll never be satisfied.
Yeah, definitely learned a few things. Definitely not everything.
No, not everything by any
just
means.
get warmed up.
Finally got that candy floss, and that's the last we'll hear of it. I'm satisfied.
That'll come back around at some point, I'm sure.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
It
for
cannot
sure.
be the end of the candy floss.
For sure.
That's my spiritual weapon. It's a giant wad of candy floss.
Oh, please do.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Level 2. Come on.
Your goddess might have to revolt. You have to find a different goddess for candy floss, I think.
They don't suffer any damage, but they suddenly have diabetes.
It's the long game. I'm playing the
It's
long
the
game.
long game.
here.
It's instant diabetes. It's heartburn or who knows what. They just get
kill
super
you with a
hyper and run in
sword.
circles
But
until
they're
they
gonna
sprain an
have
ankle.
real troubles later in life.
You're going to feel that in about 20 years.
Oh man. All right. Thanks everyone. I'm gonna go
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, folks.
Good
Bye,
night,
guys.
everybody.
See you next week.
Next